Thank you very much for inviting me here. I want to speak about this Carpinus today. It's an Oriental hornbeam, Carpinus orientalis, and it's living in southeastern Europe, and that's where it was collected 10 years ago in Croatia by a friend of mine, and I got it about 10 years ago. And now it's sort of finished in a way, but the bonsai is never finished, but it's good enough, for example, to be on a show. Now if you look at this, you may say, wow, this is a very nice tree. It doesn't look like a bonsai. I say, thank you very much. That's exactly what I want. I want people to think that this tree is growing in the mountain. Nobody has ever touched it other than nature. That's my aim. However, with all sort of artificial means, that's how I accomplish that. So you first of all have to find a material like that, and it does grow in Croatia, but I bet it grows where you are. You're not going to tell me that they're not around. I know everywhere in the world you find trees for that. But of course you don't find it like that. You just find a stump with a few branches. Then you have to make a decision of where the future is. In this case, you have these two, some people may call it two branches, which the tree is splitting into. Now this is not branches, this is two trunks. My vision was to have what is called the informal broom form. What's that? Well, I've invented that, so I can explain it to you. The formal broom form, you know, that's in the books. The informal broom form is what? Is a tree that looks like a normal broadleaf tree in nature. So it's not in the books, it should be in the books because that's the most normal tree form. And that's what I saw. So these are branches, but trunks, and then from these trunks come branches, and these branches split into smaller branches. After a while, you get it nice and ramified, but not just by itself. So I have also invented what I call the Pall hedging method, which sounds terrible, but it's called that because that's exactly what it is. If I find something like this, I first put it in some box and let it grow, and then hack it back like a head. You can actually take a head pruner, okay, and in 2 minutes cut it back. You don't even look, you just make a ball, okay? And you do this for 3 or 4 years, and then you have wonderful material, and then you can select what you want and what you don't want, and then at one point it will look like this. Now, it only took 10 years to get this. I think 10 years ago you wouldn't have thought that this was the outcome. I do still have the emails or the conversations on the forums when I showed that, and people told me, yeah, that's a good beginning, but you will never help because you will always see where you cut. This is not the way to do. You don't go to nature and collect these. You have to do what the Japanese do. You start in the nursery, the tree from very early life to become a bonsai. That's what the Japanese do. Okay, we do different. We go to nature and make these trees. So unfortunately, we cannot look at Japanese methods because they don't have the methods for that. We have to invent our own methods. One method is the hedge growing method. Okay, so at one point, it will look like it was totally untouched. Okay, and I think we are now at that point. Then you say, okay, well, but there's better trees. Go here to the exhibit or go to the internet. There's still a lot better trees in Japan, for example. Yes, there are. But how long were they worked on? Like 50 years? Okay. This is only 10 years. Another 30 years, I will not be around. This tree will be around. Now imagine the quality of that tree. Okay, so I think we're on the right path. Now there's a few things that you may not like. For example, some people don't like these ports. Do you see that? So I say, yeah, I understand why you don't like it, but if you don't like it, take another tree. It's not that I would never take these away. This is part of the nature of that tree, and that's what it looks like. By the way, do you see that it looks pretty cool from all sides? There's a lot of discussion about choosing the front. When you have such a tree, you don't choose the front, you make it look good from all sides. And in the very end, somebody can decide which is the best front. I still am not so sure. I I really like this one, and I also like this one. Looks pretty cool. But you may like another one. And so why? Because a real normal tree out in nature does not have a front. And you can walk around it and take photographs, and in the end you will find a few of these photographs look better than the others. So that's how I approach this. The other thing is that I try very hard to avoid things which make this look like a bonsai. It's in the so-called naturalistic style. So what does naturalistic mean? It means that the tree should look like nature did it, like no man did it. And where does this come from? This comes from a saying of John Naka, who said about 40 years ago, don't try to make your little tree look like a bonsai, try to make your bonsai look like a tree. It's that simple. Okay, if you take these words, don't try to make your little tree look like a bonsai. You only have to know what does it make look like a bonsai. If it wants to look like a bonsai, it has to be a triangle. It has to have the first branch on 1/3. It has to have several other branches. It can have some curve, be the informal upright. And then you have the paths where the bird can fly through, and you have more or less horizontal branches. And this you can do, okay? But then you have something that looks like a bonsai, which is fine. Most people do it. I'm also guilty of that. Go to the exhibit, you find a lot of broadleaf or call them deciduous trees which do look like a bonsai, do look like a juniper that wants to look like a pine tree, because a real standard bonsai is a pine tree in the end. Okay, so try to avoid everything that looks like a pine, and you have a natural tree. So try to forget everything that you ever learned about styling a pine, and then you can style a tree like this. Difficult, I know, and it's a new concept, which is kind of strange, because these trees are around since ever. Now, why not make a tree look like a tree? Here's an example. I think we can show this, and it's a good example, and it's one of the better ones that we have, but we have in Croatia and also in Germany about altogether 500 or so of these, which are now developing. One is out in the show. You have seen it there. It's a tremendous tree, and this is not. It's a different kind of tree. It's not tremendous. It's nicer. Okay, so you have many different forms. Anyway, I can only suggest to you, look at nature, look at what nature does, and don't necessarily look at bonsai books for an image how you want to style your tree. And then just find your material. You will find it. I'm telling you, you will find it. Now this tree happens to have the luck to not have a big hole. This is very rare, because in nature you don't find a tree like that, which you always have to cut off something here and then you have a big wound. Now this is a no-no in Japanese bonsai art, and this is why the Japanese simply do not collect trees in nature, broadleaf trees, because they don't want these big holes. This is not an example, but others are where the big holes can actually add to the tree, can add interest, bring some soul to that tree, and even make it very, very, very almost grotesque. I then call them fairy tale bonsai style. This is not one. This is in the naturalistic style. If you like it, you can do it. The good thing is you don't have to make a basic decision. It's not like a religion. Some people think, oh, with your naturalistic style, you're fighting. I'm not fighting for it. I'm only telling you it's an option. Okay? So if you tell me I'm a Catholic, I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim, I'm atheist, and I'm Hindu, I say, God, you have to make up your mind. Okay? In bonsai, I can say, hey, go to my garden. I make a naturalistic. I make a fairy tale. I make a pinjink style. I make a Japanese. Everything is in my garden. I make what the tree tells me that he wants. Understand? You can have all in parallel. So it's an addition. I don't take anything away from you. I bring something else to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. I have a question.
Yes.
There's one vertical opening in one of the trunks.
I do nothing.
Okay.
This is part of nature.
Because it's nice because it's quite a straight part, but now it's more interesting.
I could actually carve something which looked like carved, and 10 years later the callus is over. I never did anything because I thought it's kind of okay. Also, these little moons here, all this wart, this is an old tree. I don't want to idealize it too much. You understand? I found a wild sort of tree, a wild boar, and I want to domesticate him a bit, but I don't want to make him a house swine. At one point it will be too much. If you want house swines, you go to Japan and buy these maples. They're all like, in a way, they're very nice. Well, I have 15 of those. I love them, but in a way they're all house swines. They're all tame, and they're in a way a bit boring because they don't like this experience. Now this is a collected tree. You see the experience. Even if you have no clue about bonsai, everybody can see that. This is an old tree, isn't it? If I tell you this tree is 150 years old, you believe me. Because it looks like that. Well, it's probably only 30 years old. Okay, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, why do you believe me? Because it looks like that. And that's basically what we want to do in bonsai. Any other questions? Fair enough.
Are you planning on making changes, or you want to keep?
Yes, to be honest, I'm very happy with this tree. I cannot see possibly how a dramatic change. Absolutely no way. I mean, if somebody wants this tree and then wants to make a bonsai of it, good luck. Don't do it. I will not do it. No, I will improve it slightly by making it even more dense. But you have to be careful. There is always an optimum of whatever. If ramification is good, a dense branch is good. We all know that. So some people make the mistake of going beyond the point of no return and make more and more ramification, more dense, and they think it's better, but at one point it gets worse. So this is already the kind of ramification that I think is very cool. And I may add a little to that, maybe not much. At one point you have to even cut out term, huh? For 20 years you fix the crown, and then I tell you cut out half of it. You have to do it. This tree obviously looks good now without foliage. This tree happens to also look not so bad with foliage, but it's better without foliage. The great thing about this Carpinus orientalis is the foliage is that small, like a large leaf of a Chinese elm, only, by nature. Well, in the beginning maybe it's a bit longer, but if it's in the pot for 5 years, it won't get that small. So it's a wonderful material. And by the way, if you want some, I have about 30 in my garden for sale.
Is this one for sale?
This is, you can speak to my widow.
All right, thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right.